While your recruitment agency is still manually downloading PDFs, the best candidates are being hired somewhere else. So stop wasting weeks on resume screening and start using AI to instantly rank talent and send interview invites. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build a system that will turn raw resumes into scheduled meetings while you sleep. So let's get building. So here is what that system is going to look like. So I'm just going to walk you through all the modules that we have here, because I figured that if I build this on, in a tutorial, it's going to take much longer. But if you want me to show you how to build this step by step in an actual tutorial, you can let me know in the comments. But I'm just going to walk through the overview here. So the first thing that you're going to do is make sure that you connect your forms, or wherever your candidates feel like a form to upload their resumes and upload all of that. You connect it to some database. In my case, I'm connecting it to spreadsheet. But if you say it's a Google form, you can instantly just link it to your sheet. But if it's like Teleform as well, you can link it to sheet. So whatever kind of front end form that you are using to collect this information from them, just link that to a spreadsheet. So every time, or just link that to a database and connect the database here. So for this one, I'm going to stick with, saying Google Sheets, because that's what we are using here. But of course, if you are using a table, you're using whatever database you're using, it will still work the same way. So the first thing that you will do is have it connected to this Google Sheet. And in this Google Sheet, so you have, let me just show you what the Google Sheet looks like. So here is the Google Sheet. So this is what the Google Sheet looks like, and these are the responses. So everybody that fills that form is going to come in here, right? So one of the things that is important, especially if you're running a recruitment agency, is to make them feel the role that they are looking for and the company, because you're going to have like a lot of companies that you are hiring for as at any given moment, because I'm assuming that you have a lot of companies coming to you saying, oh, we need this, we need that, and you're putting out the ads for that company as per their requirements. But if the scope of how you work in your agency is different, maybe you would have to reframe how this works. But for this one, the idea and the logic around this is that different companies come to your company and be like, oh, hire us this. These are the skills that we're looking for. These are the things that we want for the role that we are trying to. And then you just have it in a database like this and call it like job roles. So you have like the job title, the company, the required skill that the company wants for that job, the nice to have skills, how the company wants, the scoring that the company wants. Like you see here, SEO and SEM expert, they want it to be 20% of the whole thing. So they put like a weighted map of how they want, the scoring of the candidates to be. And you also add the hiring manager, because you might have like different HRs for different companies. So what you're doing is basically just find candidates and give it to their HR manager to get on the meeting with, or if it's your own HR manager that is going to be in charge of taking care of the interviews and everything up until you like you're good with the candidates, then you can connect them to meet the actual company that's trying to hire them. Anyhow that works, that's just the logic around this. So now that you have that information, you will just come here and tag it to the application response. So you're watching for every time someone fills the form, like the job application form, and then it updates on your spreadsheet. So that's what we are watching for here. So every time someone fills that form, it updates and then it starts running this scenario. So the first thing that we want to do is search for the files. So what they are doing when they upload what they are doing when they apply for this job is that they upload their resume, and automatically, if they're using things like Google Form, there will be like a URL and it will be stored in our, in our what's it called, in our drive. But if they are using like any other thing aside that, you're going to get a URL. So just link it to the URL. But in this case, we have it in our, anytime a form like this is being created, anytime they fill this form, their response is being documented in our drive. So we are going to go into our drive, as you can see here, and search for that exact form. So it is important that we also tell them that make sure that you rename your form to your name. So we are looking for that person's name in our form. As you can see here, this is what you're looking for. So we are just looking for that person's name as a resume. That's what you're looking for. We're looking for that person's name in our directory. See, this is where all the responses, all the file responses goes in our drive. So we are going to go in here and find this person's name. If the name is not a unique, a unique identifier, what we can switch it to is going to be their Gmail. So tell them that the resume must be the name of, like, must be their email address, so that way it will be unique for them, or whatever criteria you want to give them. That's also fine. But for this one, I just said, okay, let the resume and let the name of that document be your name. So now we are coming here and we're searching for that person's name in our resume collection. So of course it returns. For this one, I think I will just do one because I want it to return only one at every point in time. So for this one, once it returns the name of that person or the resume for us, we go ahead and download it because we need it. The only thing that this is going to give us is going to be the file ID. It doesn't give us like the main file itself for us to work with. So we need to be able to download it into this setup so that we can get the details, like the resume, the information in the resume basically, and work with that. So that's why we need this second module here. So what this one basically does is that it downloads. You can see here we have the file ID mapped from the previous step. So it just goes ahead to download the resume for us into our system. That's just what this one does, so that we can have what to work with. The next thing here is going to be the PDF converter. So what this one does is that all the resumes, of course, are PDF. I mean, nobody sends a doc resume. Everybody knows that you are supposed to send a PDF document so that it wouldn't scatter all of that, right? So now we want to convert the PDF into text so that we can extract every information on the resume. So that's why we need pdf.co to convert that PDF from PDF into text. So we now map it to the previous step, which is the downloaded file that we now have, and then we are converting it to text. And of course, we put it as a JSON output so that it will output everything in one long string for us. So once we get that, the next step is our OpenAI module. So you can change this to Cloud AI, Perplexity AI, whatever AI module that you would prefer, right? So what this one basically does is that it extracts all the necessary information that you need from the resume itself, so that you can use that to score them based on their experience and in contrast to what the company is looking for. So in this case, you can see what we are extracting here is the name, the email, the skills that they have, the years of experience, the companies that I've worked for, their education, their seniority level, and also their key achievements. So that's what we are extracting from here. So we add the text here that we have gotten from our pdf.co, and we also add the name and the email from our database, right? So now that we have that, once it extracts it for us, it's going to extract it in a JSON, and everything is going to be compounded into one. That is why we need our JSON module. So what this JSON module does is that it splits all the compounded arrays, or like every details like we are just listed in the previous, like the name, the email, all of them is going to be in one message. So we need them splitted into its individual messages. So we want to have the email as one message. We want to have the text as one message. We want to have, sorry, the name as one message, the email as one message, the key achievement as one message, right? So that we'll be able to create each of those columns in our spreadsheet, right? So that's why we need this JSON to split it into its individual, messages, or individual text, or individual arrays, so that we can feed it into our columns in the spreadsheet. So now that we have that created, so to create this, we just go ahead and add this, and then we name it if you want to, and then add the string that you got, add the JSON that you got from the previous step, and you'll be able to create this, right? So once you create that, the next thing that you want to do is add these details to your spreadsheet. So in our spreadsheet, right, we have this particular column that has candidates, right? So it gives us all the broken down information about the particular candidate. If you can see here, you really won't get the skills or experience or anything like that unless you go into their resume. So we need a database that can actually give us a breakdown of all of their skills, their qualifications, and everything in one glance. We don't need to be going into the resume and looking for all of that information. So that is why we needed this second database, database sheet or database column or whatever, to give us everything that we need here. as you can see here, it gives us everything from like the name, their phone number, the resume URL, so that we can go in and download if we want to, the raw resume text so that we can look at it in one glance, the skills that the person has, the years of experience, the companies that the person has worked for, their education, and all of that, right? So we now have all of that, and we are going to just go ahead and create a row. So once we get the information from our AI, we go ahead and update that particular database or that particular table in our database so that we can have a breakdown of all the candidate information. So once we have that, as you can see here, we go ahead and create these fields here in our database. So once we have that, the next thing that we're going to do is go in and get the data that we're going to be using to screen or their resume again. So you can see that in our job roles here, we have all the information that we need to be able to screen their resume. So what we do is that we search and bring that up. That's why it was important that they give us the name of the role that they are applying for and also the company, right? It's always going to be stated in the requirements and everything, so that way we can filter by the name that they gave and the company. So if we're hiring for different companies, say we're hiring for Google, we're hiring for Microsoft, like I mean, I'm just making this thing up. And we're hiring for Slack, right? So we want them to be able to tell us which of the companies they are trying to get into, so that way we can match their resume to the requirements of that company for that particular job. So that's what we are basically just doing here. We're going to search by the role that they're applying for and also by the company that they're applying for, and also be sure that it is active, because most of course in our database, once we are done with hiring for a particular company, we are not going to delete the information from our database because we might need it tomorrow, but we are going to just update it to completed, right? So we have to be sure that the person is not trying to get into a company that has already completed it. So maybe we posted the job ad like 2 months ago, and the person is just coming across it and already done with the interview procedures. We do not want our system to run through that again, right? We only want it to run through people slots that are still we only want it to run through slots that are still active, because I mean logically we have completed the hiring process for that particular job. So we are not trying to hire again. So yeah. So that's why we have this to also be active. So it's only when the job that the person is applying for. So it will set by the job that the person is applying for, the company that the person is applying for, and lastly, if those two are still, if the job is still active. If it's not still active, it's going to cut here and not continue again. But if it is still active, it's going to proceed to the next step, which is the AI step. So what this does is that it goes in and grabs all the details that we have gotten from our search module that gets us the search, and the job role that the person is trying to fill in, and then it goes in and matches. As you can see here, it matches all the job requirements to the person's it matches the job requirement to the person's resume to see if they're a good fit. And it also scores them by their technical score, their experience score, their company score, their soft skill score, their total score, and the reason behind that scoring, right? So we have that, and once it gives us that data, it's also going to be in a JSON. So we need to split it into its individual steps. That's why we need this one as well. So we also create a JSON here that will split all those into its individual components, and we also apply the string here, which is our result, so that every time it sees that, it splits it into its individual components. So the next thing here is that some people are going to score higher and some people are going to score lower when we compare it or when we score them against the requirements of the job that they're trying to get in. So that's why we now have two routes here. So route one is when the score is low. So we are saying anything above and below 50 is considered low. But of course, it will depend on the scoring metrics and scoring determinant of your recruitment agency. So we are saying here, if the total score is below 50, that means that the person is not qualified for the job. So we are just going to go ahead and draft them a rejection email telling them that, oh, we are sorry that you couldn't make it, and you didn't make the cut. Maybe we had add you to our talent gap or something of that sort. Whatever information you just want to tell them, of course, we just tell them here. So once we get that, so once that is the case, we go ahead. So if the low one is the case, like I already said, we go ahead and draft a message here. So this message is basically just telling them that, oh, you didn't make the cut and we are sorry about that and all of that. So I just went ahead to add all the information about the person so that we use that and have enough knowledge to draft the rejection email to send to the person. Of course, after drafting it, it's going to come in as a JSON. So the subject and the body would be in the same component or in the same string. So we needed the JSON again to split it into its individual components. And once we have that, one thing that I did notice that happens is that most times these emails are not properly formatted. These emails are not properly formatted in the recipient's inbox. If you just go ahead and straight up send the email. So that's why we had to put this second AI module that converts that body of text into a formatted HTML. So it's formatted into an HTML so that it can be better formatted in the recipient's inbox. So once we have turned that to HTML, we go ahead and send the email to the candidates, just telling them, oh, sorry, didn't make the cut and all of that. So once we send the rejection email to them, we go ahead and update our database saying that, oh, this person has been rejected. And we also add their scores and their reasoning around it, like their technical scores, the scores that they have and everything. And then we update their status to rejected, right? And in the other end, right, why am I missing? So on the other end, right, if the score is pretty high, in this case, what we decided to do is anything greater than or equal to 51. So from 51 up, the person is, liable to an interview. So we want to interview the person. So that's why we will now go ahead and get the busy days of our hiring manager. So we go in and get the days that they are busy. So ideally, what I even want to do here now is target to the start date and the end date, because I don't want that to be a manual input. So what we are going to do here is come to our job roles, and what we want to do is add an application start date. So it's basically when the company wants to hire a person. So if the company is telling you, oh, we need to hire a digital marketing specialist in the next 1 month. So say starting from today, which is the 29th. So we are going to give you from today to like 30th of June to find us a digital marketing specialist. So that means you are putting out that the interview and all of that, say from tomorrow. So the interview start date is 26th, and then 30th, sorry, is 30th, and then runs through to like 29th or 28th of March, April. So what you would do here is 2026, and then you do we'll do 30. Let's do 05. Let's do 30, right? And then in here you also do why didn't I copy that yet? So in here you now do 2026-06-20, so that is when the application is going to end. So if you now come in here, you will now be mapping your this is I and J. So in this case, I haven't run this again, so I won't get anything here. So I will put the start date to be from I, and then I'll put the end date to be from J. So that means every time we are filling the form, we must include when the application, how long the application runs through for. So when the application date starts and when we are going to round up the application or the hiring process, basically. So once we have that, we will go ahead and set our hiring manager's calendar between those 2 days, which days are they free, right? So we will now pick the days that they are free. We can stick to, what's it called? Mornings or whatever they would prefer. So whatever they would prefer, we can also add that here. But in this case, what we are basically just doing is search between the application start date and the application end date. When is the hiring manager free to take on interviews? So once we get their free days, we will go in and create an invite. So we are going to create an invite, and we go ahead and create the invite name, and also create the attendees. So the attendees in this case is going to be the candidate. So we tag it to the candidate's details that we already have, and then we put in the start date that comes from the previous module after we have gotten their free date, and also the end date, and then we can leave the duration and the event start. That one doesn't matter. This ones are what's necessary. So once that event is created, the candidate will also be notified. But just so we can be sure that the candidate got that, we're going to also send them an acceptance late email. So in this case, you are telling them that I've been shortlisted for an interview, and I directly in here decided to put everything together as an HTML. But if you don't want to put this together, you can have AI draft it for you, and also have AI turn it into an HTML for you, so that you can just directly plug it into your email. So in this case, we go ahead and we send them the email. So once we have sent them the email, we also want to notify a team member, say the hiring manager, that you have a meeting. So that's why we need this Slack module that links to our Slack, and we send a direct message to the hiring manager telling them these are the events details, the when it's starting, the attendees, and we can also even add like the URL to their details, and we can add like their resume URL and all of that, so that they can just from that message go in to get more details about this person, because of course you have to do your background work, looking at their resume and all of that before you get into a meeting with them, so that you wouldn't just be talking out of the top of your head. You're going to have information that you're asking questions based on getting to know the person from. So after we send that, we go ahead and do the last step, which is updating our candidates information. So we update it with their scores, their soft skill scores, and their status, whether accepted or whether shortlisted, whatever you want to use. I just use rejected and accepted. But if you want to use this to shortlisted, not a good fit, whatever status you want to give them is also fine. And we go ahead and add the interview link as well as the time that interview is starting. Just so when our hiring manager looks at that this database, they're going to see all of the information about any kind or any candidate that they are looking to hire. So because this particular, this spreadsheet here and there, having looking at this one, looking at that one is a mess for me, I decided to build a front end for this particular system. So I have a front end that I built that I connected to this back end here that shows you this data in a more beautiful and appealing way. So this is what that simple front end looks like. As you can see, it's very simple. I just wanted to keep it very clean so that the recruitment agency can just get a good view of how their interviews and how the applications are going so far. So you can see here it will be like it's also applications. Those are like the applications from here. That's what is counting there. And then the candidates here, it's counting from, of course, our candidates. And then the active jobs is counting from these ones. And as you can see, this particular job, it's not active. So that's why it's picking up. So the ones that are in interview are the ones that their meetings have been created and scheduled in our meeting folder here. So that's this part here. You can see here there are no meeting links or meeting slots, so that's why that particular one is empty. If there were meeting slots, it would have counted that. So here you can see the applications by role, how many people have applied for different roles, and the candidates distribution. If we had enough data, we would have been able to see the candidates status distribution, how many people have been rejected, how many people have been accepted. We can see like the distribution, and then we can say, oh, so why are people that are not qualified for the job always applying, so that we can see how we can better structure our applications or our requirements and all of that, right? The second tab just gives you a breakdown of what is existing in the spreadsheet, right? In their candidates here, all of this data it just gives you here, and you can see this is better to view. So that's why this is a better way to view it. So you can see the status of the candidate here, so whether they are new, whether they have been rejected, whether they have been accepted, any what that works here, you can see them here. And also if you even want to see, you can see all of these here, the ones that are, if they were rejected, if they are pending interview, whatever metrics that you want to was it rank or build status with your You can see all the status here, the ones that are screened, the ones that we are screening, the ones that are in interview, whatever we are given, the ones that have been hired. So once you hire a candidate, you can also update your database so that you will see it here. And if you click on this, you'll be able to download their resume, and then you'll be able to view it. As you can see, I've downloaded that resume, and this is a way better, clean way to look at it than what we already have compounded in our spreadsheet. So this other tab here looks at the job roles. So it shows you all the job roles that you have created in your company. So for this, we only had one, which is this digital marketing specialist for Brown. And as you can see, the status here is completed. But if it was active, you will still be able to see that from here. So the last one is going to be, of course, the applications. All the candidates that have put in the applications, you'll be able to see all of them here. For now, you can see I only have one. If you click on this, you'll be able to see everything and then view the resume by downloading the resume. So if you ask me, this is a better way to view all of that information as a recruitment agency owner or recruitment agency HR, instead of going to the spreadsheet and surfing through that. As you can already see, the spreadsheet itself is compounded, and as data continues to come into that spreadsheet, it continues to compound and become difficult to find things. So having a front end like this will make it easier for you to find anybody you're looking for. You can search by the person's name here, the person's company, and it will be so easy to find any candidate details you're looking for, any job roles you're looking for, what stage they are in their interview, and all of that. Right, I think this video is getting long. So this is just a breakdown of the system that will cut down your hiring time and hiring, process in your recruitment agency. So I really hope you found this useful. And if you want the system, you can send me an email. My email will be in the description. And if you have any questions and you're trying to set this up yourself, you can also let me know in the comments. Ask them, and I'll respond to all of them. And I think we are going to call it a wrap today. So have a good day, and I will see you in my next one. So let us test our system and see how it works. So for the first one, I'm going to go in and fill the form. So the role I'm applying for is, of course, written here as specialist, and the company is run, and then my name, and then my email. And then I'm not going to include a cover letter, so I'll just go ahead and include the resume itself. And it's going to be this one. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. So now let's run our system and see how the system will behave. Okay, it's exporting everything for us now in a PDF. I'm using AI to get the breakdown of the resume. Okay, so I'm going through. It's now trying to score the candidates. Okay, it has gone ahead to create the, so you can see it has gone ahead to create the meeting and send the email. I just received the email here and send the Slack message, as well as updating our. So if we come into our candidates now, we're going to see the last person here, and we're going to see everything, including the, I did not add a location in there. If I added a location in my, like Zoom, if you have a Zoom link that you're always send to them, you can include that, and that is where it's going to get the information here. But you can see it has picked up a day that I'm free and then created it for me. Send this, updated this score here, and also updated the status here, which is fine. And in my inbox, I can see this email that came in here, and I can see this. You can see this. This is the email that came in. I can see this, which is okay, but I might have to go back and change this so that it should be better looking. But yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, so that worked perfectly, although I think I'll go in and make some changes to the formatting here, but besides that, the logic and everything is working perfectly. So let me know, what do you think? Do you think this is a system that we would integrate into your recruitment agency, or this is a new? I would like to know.